Howdy. I don't make many videos on this channel in which I speak. I think I have one or two videos that I actually have spoke on, a pedal review I did a couple years ago. But I was thinking today, you know, with the small amount of subscribers I have and the small amount of traffic that does come to my channel, I'm going to assume that a good chunk of that is people that are into the Grateful Dead, jam bands, sounding like Jerry Garcia and such. So, I know that, and I'm also going to assume that some of those people are also guitar players. And I know that people that get into the Dead tend to like to sound like Jerry for whatever reason, just to, you know, amuse themselves at home. That's what I've done. So I wanted to make a video kind of showing you how you could approximate that sound without buying equipment, you know, maybe just using the equipment you already have, or just some tips, some things that I've picked up along the way, because when I got into the Dead when I was around 12, the first thing I wanted to do was try to sound like Jerry, and I had a lot of trial and error. So I wanted to kind of share some quick tips on how you can do that. Like with anything, 80% of this is going to be in how you play, playing like Jerry, and then the rest is going to be in all these little small parts. So the first couple things I want to talk about, or you know, just a couple tips, is the pickups. In order to get that Jerry sound, one of the most vital things is to have a single coil in the middle position. That's like vital. You know, I can kind of milk a Jerry type tone out of any rig I'm playing through. I have a couple amps, a bunch of pedals, and you know, I just change what I play with all the time. But you can really approximate that sound just with that middle pickup. So let me show you what I'm talking about. Right now, middle pickup. I am going through a couple pedals, but none of them are on. I'm just going straight into a Fender vaporizer. So yeah, let's see. Tones all the way up, volumes all the way up, middle pickup. So there you can hear, that sounds pretty close to Jerry. Excuse the sloppy playing. I get nervous when the camera starts. But yeah, that's, you know, the middle pickup really just... It sounds pretty Jerry-like. Another tip is your pick. This pick I'm using here is I'm pretty sure it's made out of rosewood. But what's important about the pick is I have found a thicker pick really gets the job done. You know, it creates a lot more attack. And it also kind of provides a nice bite. It really, you know, digs into the string, which it makes it sound brighter. And Jerry's tone is really bright. A lot of jam bands, the lead guitar is very bright and, you know, cuts through really well. And that's pretty essential. So if you already have a single coil guitar, like a Strat style guitar, when you're in the middle position, you're already going to be, you know, in the realm of Jerry. And then the rest, you know, the rest is in the playing and some of your other equipment, of course. You could go out and buy a Wolf or, you know, a Jerry-inspired guitar. This is a Fred Instruments Wolf. You know, he makes the Ligers, the Deadbolts, a bunch of Trey guitars, you know. This is definitely the more affordable option in the world of, you know, Jerry clones. But, you know, some of them are just ridiculously priced because the woods and the craftsmanship that goes into them. Fred, this is all stock and it sounds really close. These aren't DiMarzios like Jerry would use. These are, I believe, all-tech pickups. But it does have an O-bell. It does have the preamp built in. Runs off the 9 volt. It's wired very similar. It's wired very similar. Coil taps, the whole nine. This guitar, right out of the box, is going to give you some close Jerry tones. No matter what you're playing through, this is going to sound, but that's going to set you back like $700, if not more. So I assume a lot of people have a Strat style guitar. You can get some Jerry tones out of humbucking guitars, but that's really going to depend on how you're playing. The scales you're using, how you're picking, things like that. To show you a little bit here, let me pause this. Alright, so just to show you what I'm playing through here currently, we got a Fender vaporizer. The Fender vaporizer doesn't have many options in terms of EQ and such. You got a tone, volume, and a reverb. Excuse the dirty amp as well as the dirty pedals. So I can't show you on this amp how to set the tone, but I can give you some tips on that in just a second. I want to talk about the blues driver. I've had this pedal for a long time. It's been a staple in pretty much every rig that I've had. Very versatile pedal. But you can, I've used this for my Jerry sound, and I don't use it as an overdrive for Jerry tones. I tend to roll back the gain all the way, set my tone accordingly, depending on the amp I'm playing through, the guitar. Try to use this to try to find where I need to be. Again, using the single coil, that's very important for Jerry's tone. The single coil in the middle. But I use this as a clean boost, and it will break up a little bit, give you a little bit of overdrive when you're putting it in front of an amp, even with the gain down, and especially when the volume's rolled up, obviously. But if you have one of these pedals or something similar, I would recommend fiddling around with it and seeing what you can do with it, because it really can help. That's what I found anyway. But with what I'm playing through right now, the Fender vaporizer, with it having a bright channel and a normal channel, I can kind of approximate those tones without using this pedal at all. Just plug straight into the bright, have my tone rolled about there. Yeah, and then spring reverb is important. Jerry obviously used reverb a lot, and he used spring reverb. Jerry, I believe, if I'm correct, he played through the majority, if not all of his career, a Fender twin reverb, and that obviously has a spring reverb. I'm sure in the 80s and 90s maybe he was using more digital stuff, but I mean the spring reverb is really going to get you in that, in that 70s era tone. But back to the EQ, like I said, on this amp you don't have any EQ, you just have a tone knob. And the other amp I play through, which is the Fender Rampart, actually has no EQ at all, just volume and 2 inputs, hot and cool. I can still get Jerry tones out of this amp. What I use for my EQ in that situation would be either one of these. I haven't used that pedal in a long time, but I lost the power supply for it. This pedal I use the clean twin patch. But when you're setting a Jerry EQ, you want to make sure that your mids are the most prominent. Turn those up, turn the mids up. You can have some highs in there, adjust it accordingly with what you're playing, with your pickups, such like. But the mids are really important. The mids are going to make the guitar cut through really well. You don't need a lot of bass. Jerry didn't use a lot of bass, obviously. He's got that jangly, almost skeletal tone, which is very fitting for the Grateful Dead. But so bass isn't necessary, but you do want to have some high mids and good amount of highs. And honestly, that's just about it. From those tips that I just gave will definitely get you well on your way to sounding close to Jerry. You want to make sure again, a lot of it comes from how you play, what you're playing, the scales, how you're picking the strings. You know, you got to emote like Jerry if you want to sound like him. But single coil in the middle, spring reverb, thick pick, high mids, that is all going to get you well on your way to sounding like Jerry. And hopefully you have a lot of these options available to you, and you can just go ahead and start messing around and get close to it without having to go out and buy anything. You know, I've bought some stuff over the years. I bought some envelope filters and JBL. I think I only have the JBL E110, not the E120. But it can give you those sounds. I don't have it at my apartment right now. But, you know, I've spent some money on different things to try to sound like him. And what I've found is, again, you can sound like him through almost any rig as long as your playing's there and you have that single coil in the middle. That's vital. But anyway, yeah, that's my quick little video I wanted to do on how to sound close to Jerry Garcia. I hope it was helpful for any of you that are just starting out trying to sound like Jerry. This hopefully kind of put you on your way. And again, apologies for the sloppy playing. I just wanted to give a little sound sample. But anyway, hopefully this was helpful, and have a good day.